So,
All right, we're
hello,
live.
everybody. Thank you for thank you live and everyone that's here on our live feed and slash on our Zoom feed for Facebook, Zoom, Facebook, and everything. We are so excited today. Um, Back to you from different places, and today we are able to have a good, decently good link from my house. So here on the Navajo Reservation, um, born and raised, being able to have, and we'll give you a little prayer. Heavenly Father, dear Creator, thank you for this wonderful moment here with us. Thank you for allowing us to be joining with you and joining with everyone that wants to learn more about you, wants to know how to be a better community, so that we can be able to intermingle at the right parts of our lives with the appropriate posture and standpoint. Let us be able to continually allow ourselves to breathe and have a heartbeat that leads to you. We are so happy to, when you remind us in our daily lives of you, that you allow us to be a bigger part and a bigger idea, and that you have bigger plans for us. When we breathe your air, and you give us life every day, and you allow us to have a freedom of anything to learn. In your great name we pray. Amen.
Welcome. Thank you, Preston, for praying. We're in the same location. That was me a little bit earlier on Preston's mic, so we gotta be careful. Yeah. Thank you, Preston, for praying, and I can pray us again just to do that. Okay, dear Creator, thank you for Preston's prayer. Thank you that we are able to be here together, welcoming these people into a good medicine way. And I just want to give blessings to everyone, and especially during these times when it's really hard and it's difficult to do certain things. But we know that you are with us, and thank you for giving us this day and this service. And thank you for our speaker tonight. And bless her. And yeah, well, we welcome your spirit. So in Creator sets free. Amen. And and that takes us into creation insights for Casey Church.
All right. I was really blessed the last couple of days here, uh, taking my dog for a walk. Uh, and some of you know that just recently I lost my big dog, Makwa. Had him for about 9 years, and uh, he's like if you know old guys and old dogs, we get along good, and they're our buddies. We travel together, we walk together, we talk to each other in our own special way, and to lose him was pretty traumatic. And then a month before he passed, we were another dog came into our lives, a little girl, a German Shepherd, and Makwa and that little German Shepherd, we named her Nanaba. She's just a cute thing, but she was able to hang around this old dog Makwa, who was like really smart, uh, and just hanging with with him, walking together and going to stores, going to restaurants, going to the bank together. They just it rubbed off on her because she was so young. She picked up on all of his habits, his good habits, and none of the bad habits. It was just amazing out there, some of the bad habits that old Makwa had. But it's just that analogy there is when we hang with people that are our mentors, they rub off on us. And sometimes we say, you know, to hang with these people, to have good friends. We always tell our kids to hang with people that have good character, because bad character, it corrupts. corrupts. So with that, I just wanted to share that little bit about Nanaba, who is now going to be my little girlfriend here now. We hang together, and she is picking up lots of good habits now, and is just as obedient most of the time as Makwa was. And they're special. Dogs are special. Cats are special, and pets that we have in our lives. And some people don't realize that sometimes pets can be that close to us and really be a part of our lives. So I just want to share that the creation moments that pets are special. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. That was such a nice story about Aqua. I'm going to miss him. That will lead us into John Witherell.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. And we just wanted to remember tonight, particularly today, this day in Native American history, a very dark and horrific event that took place on Sand Creek 157 years ago, in which members of the U.S. Cavalry, a little under 700, under a commander named Chivington, massacred both the Arapaho and particularly Cheyenne Native Americans who were doing nothing to anyway. They were pretty much defenseless, and there's not a real strong record of how many were killed, but we know that it was in the hundreds, and many of them were women and children. And even though there was a congressional investigation into it and Chivington sort of got his hand slapped, there was never any accountability for what happened there. And even I just learned today from an article by Ruth Hopkins, Dakota writer, who was saying that there were 3 soldiers that refused to fight. One officer refused to send his men in, and that guy was later assassinated or murdered because of the testimony that he gave. Terrible, terrible event that we will not forget. And so with that real bad memory, we wanted to balance that with some good news. This took place last week, November 18th. But if you guys remember, a couple of months ago, we talked about a guy from the Confederated or the Umatilla Confederated Tribes in Oregon, who had been nominated to be head of the National Park Service. It's 423 national parks. And it's good news to say that last week, he was confirmed unanimously. If you think about how partisan our politics are now, and to think that Charles Sam, was first Native American to be in this post, and he was confirmed unanimously. So that is something to celebrate and to feel encouraged about as we look back on what is this day in Native American history.
Thanks, John. we can lead into our worship with the Grovers.
All right. So before I get started, I got a new shirt the other day. So there were some hoop dancers, youth hoop dancers actually, from Santa Fe, part of the Lightning Boy Foundation, and they came down to Albuquerque and did an exhibition and a fundraiser, and they were really great and really awesome. Their name comes from one of the kids who was first in the group when they first started, and but he ended up getting killed in a automobile accident, and that actually inspired a lot of his friends and siblings to get into hoop dancing and join the organization in his memory and in his honor. And so that's when they changed the name of the organization to Lightning Boy Foundation, because that was his nickname because of the way he danced. But yeah, they were really great. I'm hoping that we can do more with them in the future, and get them involved in some of our events when we're back to having those.
They were encouraging people to film the last dance, so I've got a little clip of that on my Facebook wall if you want to check it out. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that was also shared onto the Good Medicine Way wall,
okay.
so you can see it on the Good Medicine Way wall as well.
Perfect.
And let me switch all the mics around. And share the lyrics. I'm going to do a couple Jonathan Miracle songs here for you. And just for my father-in-law, yeah, so there's the Guild Dreadnought big body 12-string, and I've got it mic'd, but then it also has a pickup that I'm running into my amp and putting a lot of chorus and other sauce on it, so it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal tonight. Come into Yahweh, away, ah, Yahweh, oh, 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 oh. This is a fairly new one from Jonathan. Way high Yahweh ho, Gaya wane ho. 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 Way high Yahweh ho. We dance to heal the nations. We pray our hearts to be one. We sing to Creator with love, the love of His Son. You raise up your banner. To your voice we come. From the distant nations, to your voice we run. Oh, way high Yahweh, oh, Gaya wane, 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 oh. As one, we will live life. We won't live it alone. As one, hear the drumbeat. Today we are one. You raise up your banner. To your voice we come. From the distant nations, to your voice we run. Oh, way high Yahweh, oh, Gaya wane, 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 oh.
Thank you, Govers. I always love being able to have a different type of worship and be able to see and hear a different type of worship. Casey, what announcements do we have this week?
Back with you, still folding clothes. So we're getting ready here. Well, a couple of announcements. Was one that we'll be traveling this week. We'll also be doing some ministry while we're up there too, with Todd Williamson, who is the pastor of the Bradley Salem missions in Michigan. And that's where I grew up. And the ministry that we're going to be doing, need your prayer on this, is that these two churches, like many churches across the country, have their attendance is way down, and they're talking about how they're going to close these two churches. Sad. They're two native churches, and they're very dear to my heart. I've spoken at them many different times, and Todd has got a heart for ministry, a pastor's heart, and we'll be meeting with two superintendents up there and Todd and myself to find a direction for this, and so keep that in prayer. Todd wants to continue in ministry, and he wants to go contextual. Rather than the churches that he is at, they're very non-contextual, and that's what the people wanted and liked. The other announcement here is tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is a time opposite of Black Friday when we spend money on other things. This is the chance to reach into your wallet as well and write checks, go on Facebook, PayPal. That's what we have, and we'd like you to consider giving a gift to here with Good Medicine Way. We have been meeting now for roughly 4 years now. And in the last 21 months here, we've been meeting virtually all this time. And we can hardly wait to have open services when we can have congregation and people and work with people face to face. Want to open it up? Is there any other announcements out there? Sorry, I didn't have my my screen on. Any other news out there? Anyone that got something to go? If not, then let's go on to our next portion here, and isn't it?
Yeah, Creator's Word from Heather Ritherow, reading Romans 12. Take it away, Heather.
Good evening, everybody. We, for the past month, have been reading Romans 12 together as a Good Medicine Way team, and we've been sharing this word with you. And so tonight we're going to read the whole thing, putting it all together and how we can honor Creator and honor one another. So then, my sacred family members, because Creator has shown us such mercy and kindness, I now call on you to offer your whole beings, heart, mind, and strength to the Great Spirit as a living sacrifice. Do this in a sacred and spiritual manner that will make his heart glad. Do not permit the ways of this world to mold and shape you. Instead, let Creator change you from the inside out in the way a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. He will do this by giving you a new way of thinking, seeing, and walking. Then you will know for sure what the Great Spirit wants for you, things that are good, that make the heart glad, and that help you to walk the path of becoming a mature and true human being. Because Creator, in his great kindness, has made me a message bearer, I give this message to each of you. Do not think too highly of yourself. Instead, understand that the Great Spirit calls us to different purposes in answer to our trust in him. For just as our bodies have many members and each member has a different purpose, it is the same way with the body of the chosen one. We are members of his body, and each member belongs to all the others. Creator's gift of great kindness has been poured out on us in many ways, giving us different kinds of gifts. If your gift is to speak the heart and mind of the Great Spirit in a prophecy, then let trust guide your words. If your gift is helping others, then give yourself to help others. If teaching is your gift, teach well. If your gift is to speak courage and strengthen the hearts of others, then speak bravely. The one whose gift is giving should not hold back. If your gift is leading, lead with honor. And the one whose gift is showing mercy and kindness to others should do so freely with a glad heart. Love with a true heart. Hate what is evil and hold on tight to what is good. Love like family and honor others by putting them first. Be a good fire keeper and never let your spiritual fire go out as you serve our honored chief. Let hope make your heart glad. Keep sending your voice to the Great Spirit, even when the road gets hard to walk. Give what you can to help the sacred family members who are in need. Open your homes and hearts to others. Bless the ones who seek to harm you. Bless and do not curse. Dance with the ones who dance for joy, and shed tears with the ones whose hearts have fallen to the ground. Seek to live in harmony with all. Do not think you are better than others. Walk the road of life with the humble of heart and do not be wise in your own eyes. No one should pay back evil with evil. Do what you know to be honorable in the eyes of another. If it is within your power, walk the road of peace with everyone. My much loved family members, do not take the punishment of others into your own hands. Instead, turn all anger and wrath over to the Great Spirit. For the sacred teachings tell us, punishment for wrongs belongs to me, says the Great Spirit Chief. I will make sure that wrongs are made right again. You should do the opposite. If your enemy is hungry, feed him. If your enemy thirsts, give him a drink. Your kindness will be like burning coals poured on his head, as his shame for the way he has treated you bursts into flame. Do not let evil take over your heart, but overcome evil with good. This is the word of our Creator from the First Nations version.
Thank you, Heather. And off to Leah to introduce our speaker tonight.
Okay. Well, tonight's speaker is, besides being an extraordinary cake maker, she is Ji-gaabiikwe Campeau. And Ji-gaabiikwe is an Anishinaabe name meaning where the land and water meet woman. Her colonial name is Diane Campeau. She's a Nakawe, Inikwe, Salto woman, Ji-gaabiikwe, Cree woman, and Métis woman, and is a registered member of the Yellow Quill First Nation, a signatory of Treaty 4 in Saskatchewan. She is the mother to Kennedy. They currently reside in Regina, Saskatchewan. Ji-gaabiikwe is a 60s scoop survivor and an intergenerational residential school survivor, and is a registered social worker in the province of Saskatchewan. She's currently working as a community coordinator with iEmergence, an Indigenous nonprofit that focuses on holistic community and leadership development in Indigenous and tribal communities. Ji-gaabiikwe, take it away.
Miigwech, thanks. Can I get some sharing abilities?
He should have it.
Okay. All right. I don't need it right now, but just I was gonna go all fancy, but I didn't have time because I wasn't sure what I was gonna present this evening. But yeah, so thanks, Leah, for the introduction. This is my second time sharing at Good Medicine Way. And so what I'm gonna share is just kind of a resource that I'm going to be using for a program that I'm facilitating called the Oski Squay Walk, which is Cree for Young Women Helpers. And so it's just a group of 13 to 17-year-old Indigenous girls just helping with their self-esteem, some leadership, but the whole premise would be of reclaiming our Indigenous culture. And that's a lot of what I am wanting to do and have been doing. And so this resource, it's not mine, just kind of saying that. Elder Gladys Wappus Gray Eyes and Elder Jim Dumont are the leading elders, and then other community members. Their teachings put this information together. It's actually in a book, and I'll share this in a bit, but so it's just more of using the analogy of sorry, I have different so just using the analogy of a growing flower, of just one way to think about how we can reconnect with our Indigenous culture, because there's many of us who are just learning about our Indigenous cultures, others that are not even on that journey yet, others who are still on it, but still struggling like myself. I've been probably on this journey of reclaiming parts of my culture there for probably about just over slightly over 10 years. Well, I guess more than that because my daughter's 14. Okay, so over 14 years on this journey. But I'm still, there's so much that I don't know. And so I'm always, when I see something, a resource that really hits my heart, I'm excited to see the contextualization of information with faith. And so, yeah, so just looking at the flower, so flowers are a part of our Indigenous culture as both food and medicine. Flowers remind us of our connection to the land and to our nation, and they teach us about the life cycle, about birth, growth, and renewal. And they also remind us to be patient during times of change. So when you just think of that, of what a flower, starting from the seed, from the earth, and then slowly growing and blossoming, but then their time, many of them at some point, their time ends and then they wither and then they go back into the ground. And so that's kind of just with that image of, I'm just gonna see, let me see if this works. There, can you guys see that? Okay. And so if you take this flower, which when I look at it, and then when I was reading, and so what I'm going to share, it's going to be similar to the medicine wheel. And a lot of my teachings, the Anishinaabe, the Ojibwe teachings, we use the medicine wheel a lot in our teachings. And so this is a flower type medicine wheel. So just, I'm trying to think of how I can keep that on there. Okay, let me see if I pull this up. Okay, can you guys still, do you just see the flower? Okay. And so as we connect with our Indigenous culture, again, of the 4 quadrants of the medicine wheel, spirituality is through praying or being part of a ceremony, emotionally by cooking with one of our cooking with our family, using traditional recipes, or participating in community events. Mentally, by learning and thinking about creation stories and speaking our languages. And physically, by touching the land and thanking Mother Earth for her gifts. This is just a kind of a brief, there's so much, but I'm just trying to condense things. We don't have too much time. And so as we're using the flower as the symbol for reconnecting to our Indigenous culture, but also for growing our wellness. And so growing our wellness is also part of connecting with our Indigenous culture, and similar to that of the medicine wheel, which is about harmony and balance and wholeness. So when you're looking at the flower, so just look at the center of the flower. This is usually where the seeds develop. And then each of those seeds has that potential to spring to life as a new flower. And so a new creation. And so a healthy flower has a strong center. It represents the ongoing life and strength of each of us individually and of our Indigenous community as a whole. And so with the medicine wheel, the center being creator also is the one that brings new life and is needing that as that strong center for us to be whole. And so Elder Jim Dumont also says our well-being comes from the balance of those 4 kinds of wellness. So spiritual, our spirit is at the center of our being, and it wants us to live life to the fullest. And Creator gave us our identity. When we connect with our identity, we have hope for the future. And then the emotional, and so you'll hear me talking about the 4: spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, in just different parts. So an emotional is our hearts are filled with so many emotions such as love, sadness, and happiness. And our ties with our living beings like animals and plants are important to our emotional well-being. Mental, we use our mind to think and learn. We need to listen to our spirit because our spirit nurtures our understanding about the meaning of life. And physically, we use our bodies to move and live life. So our body is the house for our spirit. So then as we're going to jump down to the stem part of the flower. So the stem represents the central role that culture plays in helping us to live healthy lives. And so Elder Jim also says that Indigenous people share 8 key ideas that form the foundation of our Indigenous culture. This is, again, just his thoughts. It's not the end all be all, but it's when you hear them, it kind of makes sense. So 1 is spirit. Spirit is in all things. Our spirit, heart, mind, and body work together as a whole. And then the second is the circle. The circle reminds us that everything is connected and part of a whole. And third, harmony and balance. The world is constantly changing, but it works towards harmony and balance. And we live in harmony and balance with our family, friends, and neighbors when we respect each other's differences and care for one another. And then 4 is all my relations. We are connected to all things. That's people, plants, trees, animals, and even rocks. We're all related to one another and we need to look after each other. 5 is kindness, caring, and respect. Kindness and caring are gifts from the Creator that our spirit carries into this world when we are born. When we nurture this gift through our relationships, we learn about respect. And then 6 is our earth connection. We're all relatives because we're all part of Mother Earth. We have come from the earth. And then 7th is the path of life continuum. Life is a journey. We grow up and we figure out what our purpose is in life and how we can contribute to the life around us. We're not alone on our journey because we're connected to our ancestors who came before us and to those who are not yet born. And then last is language. Our native languages are a sacred gift from the Creator. Language is more than just a way of communicating. And so then, as we're moving up onto the stem is the leaves. And so the leaves produce food for a flowering plant. And so when you think of that in regards to Indigenous culture, Indigenous traditions, ceremonies, and practices cannot connect us to our culture. They help us to create wellness in our lives by balancing the spirit, heart, mind, and body. So that helps. Hold on. Sorry. So some cultural activities that help, I guess, feed into our culture. There's dancing, singing, sweat lodge, prayer, storytelling, giveaways, powwows, round dance. So the more we're involved in these activities, the stronger our wellness is, because we're feeding into our wellness by participating in these activities. And they so they feed into our spirit and they strengthen our cultural identity. I feel like I'm going through this really, really fast, but and then as we move up, this is where the biggest part is of, I guess, for me, in the framework of the medicine wheel. And so as you look at the petals, so there's 4, I just had to look at the picture again, sorry. So there's four petals. And so so the petals of the flower, it surrounds the center, and the petals often help to fertilize the flower. Just as the flower is fertilized by its petals, cultural activities can help to increase our wellness. So the cultural activities help fertilize our wellness and our balance and harmony with ourselves and with creation. And so when we think of the cultural activities, we can look at 4 kinds of cultural activities. And so again, looking at the spiritual activities which involve the spirit, and this gives us the sense of hope. We're proud to be Indigenous when our spirit, and we have that when we have that sense of hope. Our spirit is at the very center of our being. It is the fire that gives us life and hope. Our spiritual well-being is the base on which we grow our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And so we need our spirit to be strong and healthy. And there are 3 types of actions we can take to increase our spiritual, our wellness. And this is where you see on the pedal is belief, identity, and values. So belief is based on our worldview that there are 2 sides of life. There's the spiritual and then the physical. Identity comes from the creator, and then values is we try to live our lives according to our traditional Indigenous values. Hope for the future comes from a balance between seeing life from our spirit and seeing life through our own eyes. And so then as we move to the next pedal is, I guess as we're moving right or clockwise, I think, would be the emotional, like the emotional quadrant part of it, is that this involves our heart. It gives us a sense of belonging. So we feel connected to our families, our community, and our culture. Everything is connected and part of a whole. Our relationships with other people, animals, and the land give us a sense of belonging and support our emotional well-being. And so there are 4 types of actions we can take to increase our emotional wellness, which we see here is relationship, family, community, and attitude. And so relationship is our identity is nurtured through our relationships to the land and all that live on the land. And our family extends beyond just our biological family. Our extended family includes our clan family, but also the way we relate to friends, such as we will call them cousins or aunties and uncles, and cookums and mushums. Then we have and then the community is the land and the people we come from. Our identity is connected to the story of our community and the land and beings that live on that specific place, the land. It's a place that we spiritually belong to. And then our attitude towards life is nurtured through our relationships with family, community, and creation. These connections motivate us to live life to the fullest. And so then as we continue around the flower into the next petal is our, the mental, which involves the mind and it brings meaning to our lives. We understand how our lives and the lives of those around us are joined to those of our ancestors and those who will come after us. We use our minds to understand our rational, intuitive, spiritual thoughts. We're able to make connections between what is happening now and what has happened in the past. And there are 3 types of actions we can take to increase our mental wellness. And so we have intuition, understanding, and rational. So intuition is we can't always explain how we know something. We have knowledge and understanding about life that comes from our ancestors through our dreams or through our connection to the land, but also the gifts that Creator provides each one of us. And then understanding our Indigenous culture helps us to connect to our spirit and to live life with the gifts we were given. We understand the meaning of our own life when we can bring our spiritual gifts into our everyday life. And then the rational is that we find meaning in our lives by linking what we are thinking or feeling with an Indigenous way of seeing the world. We're not alone, but a part of a larger Indigenous community. And then moving to the last petal is the physical activities. It involves our body and it gives us a sense of purpose. Our physical body houses our spirit, heart, and mind. Together, they are the foundation of our purpose in life. Our daily physical activities bring purpose. But By increasing our physical wellness, we can increase our sense of purpose. And there are 3 types of actions we can take to increase our physical wellness, which is wholeness, way of being, and way of doing. So wholeness, our body is, again, the home of our spirit, heart, and mind. And so we need to take really good care of our body. These 4 parts of our being make us who we are. Our spirit, heart, and mind are always connected. They make us whole. And our way of being is, no matter how we grew up or live our life now, our Indigenous identity never goes away because it was given to us by the Creator. And way of doing is that we can actively grow towards wellness. We can take care of our bodies and we can offer thanks to Creator. And so by participating in these cultural activities, this will increase our wellness and help us find harmony and balance in our lives. And so as we look down now to our flower, let's take a look at the ground, because the ground supports the flower so that it can grow and flourish. Everything that grows, including you, needs support. And so all of us need help or support in order to be strong and to grow. There are many different kinds of cultural supports, both formal and informal, such as attending a workshop, seeing an elder, time on the land, praying. But all these cultural interventions sometimes will require a level of cultural competency that follows the culture of the people on that land. And so it's really important that you're respecting the people, that the land that you're on, and the ceremonies and customs that are taking place. But cultural interventions are essential to wellness and to reconnecting with our cultural identity. And so wellness from an Indigenous perspective is a whole and a healthy wellness from an Indigenous perspective is a whole and healthy person expressed through a sense of balance of spirit, emotion, mind, and body. Central to wellness is belief in one's connection to language, land, beings of creation, and ancestry, supported by a caring family environment. But I think I just really went through that really, really fast.
Well, that was very good, very informative, and I think you're on a good path to reclaiming what was lost, and good for you and your daughter. Much of it sounds exactly like the wild variety white bison information that is out there. So it's good to see that another adaptation of that. I love the use of the flower, so because it has 4 quadrants on it. That's good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so let's open it up to questions here. This was really good stuff too. So anyone can respond now.
One thing I noticed while you were sharing Ji-gaabiikwe was how, like, the whole flower medicine wheel idea is all oriented around a holistic approach. And that's something that has only recently been begun to be adapted by, like, Western medicine. Historically, Western medicine has been very specialized and focused on one thing. And I liked how it really oriented that if you're really going to have wellness, that it has to encompass all the aspects of your life and not just one little thing, where you may be having a problem at the moment, but like how everything is all connected together. I'm wondering if you can just maybe share a little bit more on that, the idea of wellness is wholeness, kind of thing.
Yeah, like, I mean, and I think that's where the beauty of whether it's the flower petals, but also the circle, is that when the medicine wheel, and so it's not just a circle, it's actually a wheel. So if you're spiritually not doing well or physically you're ill, your wheel isn't gonna rotate smoothly, right? And so everything, it's just gonna go that the thunk, the thunk, the thunk, right? And so it's really important when you, even for yourself, like doing a check-in is like, okay, like you wake up and you're feeling groggy, you're not feeling well. It's like, okay, so what's happening? And then you can kind of go through spiritually, where are things at? Physically, oh, I didn't drink enough water. Especially for me, as I'm training for these ultra runs, is making sure that physically I'm doing well, but also mentally that I have the right mindset to push myself, to challenge me, but and then emotionally of making sure that that I'm thinking positive thoughts, because if I'm out there running and I'm if I've already set myself up to fail, then I'm not going to do well, I'm not going to finish. And so you see how important all of that has to work together, because if one isn't, then it impacts everything else. But I mean, it's just one of the things, looking at the wholeness, and that's the beauty of creator, of we're all connected. And we see that right now with the land, when the land is not doing well, how it's impacting. And so here in Canada, we had 2 floodings, or still flooding, in the East Coast and the West Coast, major flooding. And so that's impacting how people are living in those communities, and some people are struggling, but Mother Earth has been crying out because we've been hurting her. And so we need to really get back into some type of harmony and balance with the land, because the land doesn't need us. we need the land. And I mean, Mother Earth was here long before we were. And but just when things aren't going well, it's just doing that check of like, okay, what's missing? Like, what am I doing? How am I in any of those areas? Or I don't know if that really answers.
All right, Alyssa has a question. Do you have a recommendation for someone who can't get to ceremonies, powwows, etc.?
Like, if of not being able to get to ceremonies, is one, if for myself, that was a hard in 2020 for myself and my daughter, of not being able to participate in round dances that we've normally gone to, sweat lodges, like different things. And so we've done a lot of prayer. I pick up the hand drum and I sing. And so it's just finding other ways that can help, or running. And that's my biggest thing is running. But just finding other, I guess, alternatives that provide some of that spiritual, emotional, and physical needs. But also, I mean, through Zoom, like they had that virtual powwow that was happening. So like there's different things out there of researching, but also, I mean, I'm a YouTuber, so looking at the different, there's different teachings, different things that you can find. Certain ceremonies you can't find. That's just because there's no pictures or videos that can happen. But it's just finding other things until you can get out there and go.
All right. And then Jamie Sweeney Umlauf asks, are we unmuted? Mm-hmm. Okay. Jamie Sweeney Umlauf asks, do you have any stories of how the curriculum has helped any young girls?
How I I wouldn't really necessarily say curriculum, because at the moment, like, it's just, I'm just starting the program with the girls, and a lot of times we're just flying by the seat of our pants as we go and make mistakes. But one of the things, it's the biggest thing for me, it's we're just creating a sacred circle, a safe space, and that they know that I'm learning, the other people that are part, the Keteawak, which is Cree for old ones, and the aunties, that we're all learning, because most of us are all survivors. And so we're having to relearn a lot of our teachings and traditions. And so for them, for the young girls, it's just being able to have a space that's safe, and that they know that they're not alone, and that there's others who have walked this journey before them. And so that they are just soaking up anything that we're able to offer them. This will be, the flower is the one, we're just starting that. So they're actually going to be in the new year, they're actually going to be planting their own flower. And then we'll be going through about watering it and how important it is to speak life into the flower, because then it's that symbol of their body too. So it's an ongoing process.
But you've been working with some of these girls for a number of years now already, right? I think.
Not this group. No, this is a fairly new group with the Oski Squaywalk. Like, there's been other groups that I've been part of, but this particular is pretty new because it's local. And so a lot of times I've done traveling, but this one here is they're from the Regina area.
Are there any other questions or comments? Well, I'd just like to say thank you, because that's a lot of content that a lot of people are actually developing now, as opposed to like 10 years ago, because I know like a lot of those concepts and those ideas weren't really in the forefront of some people's minds. So I'm glad that there's someone who's really trying to make a resource out of it too. So yeah, so thank you.
Yes, that was very, very good, Diane. That's Good Medicine Way is all about what you're teaching there too, and we want to be a hub, a place where people can come, connect, and praise the Lord in our group and feel loved, connected. So we're trying to make that kind of atmosphere. Right now, because of COVID, we're really trying to be a resource base, having all these different teachers come on, sharing their expertise with us and making connections. Also, Jonathan, Terry Wildman, and myself, we're pushing and trying to create this association of like-minded folks in contextual ministry called the Sacred Circle. So if you want to be a part of that, you can send us your email and we'll try to get you on the next Sacred Circle program. It'll probably be next week and maybe on Monday. We haven't heard yet when the next time frame is going to be, but it's a group when we're all together. When you guys are with us and then all the Sacred Circle, there's close to 50 people on the program then, and that's growing every week. So thank you so much, Diane. You're just you're a special lady. Can't wait till we meet again and work together. So I want to get up there to your camp someday, with iEmergence. So anyone else want to have anything else to say, Diane? All right, let's turn it over to another song, I believe, and then we'll have our closing with the Preston and Heather.
All right, so we were thinking about this anyway. So since you talked about round dances at Ji-gaabiikwe, I think we're just going to go ahead and jump in with it. But so we were talking about so the Jonathan America song Ganaronkwa, which is just how you express love in Mohawk, and he has the Ganaronkwa song, and we kind of got our name from that because he talks about Jesus being the good medicine, and so for good medicine way. But it is actually a round dance, and when we start meeting in person again, we want to close all of our gatherings by having a round dance circle and doing this song together. So I think we can try to do this kind of virtually tonight. So if you're in a place where you can stand up and do a little round dance step, do that. If you're kind of crowded, you can just stomp your feet from your chair.
Left, right, left, right.
Yeah,
left, right.
I've got too many technical things boxing me in, so I'm going to be stomping from my chair. But so just try to join in as best as you're able. And if you don't know exactly what you're doing, just try to get in with the beat, and we'll figure it out as we go along. But I'll share the words here, and then we'll get going. Yes, sir. Ganaronkwa. Yes, sir. Ganaronkwa. Yes, sir.
Waiting to hear the Jonathan whee on there. So, how many of you got up and danced? I did. I got a table right here in the center of the room here. I went round and round my table here, trying to stay in beat. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to give it back to Heather and Preston for our closing here.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight. And yeah, thank you for our speaker tonight. And yeah, just there's a lot of good things that we can be thankful for. A lot of good things that have happened and will happen. So just thinking positive step forward with information like this from Ji-gaabiikwe.
It's really great to see you guys. Really awesome to see a whole lot of you guys here today. We'll have a prayer today. I'll start today and Heather can end it. Heavenly Father, thank you for the information that you've given us today. Heaven, they're allowing us to be able to be blessed with this information and learning how to better equip and better um, unify and allow ourselves to come together, and so that we can understand our culture and other people's cultures through you and how you're working through that. Um, Bless our speaker, bless the Grovers and the voices, and bless every patron and that whoever and wherever they're watching from, so that they can wash over you in your great name.
Dear Creator, we lift up our sacred family members in this circle, online, offline, for the people that have come and visited us, and for all of the people that just find themselves here. So thank you for them, Lord, and please bless us this weekend, especially for giving thanks and being grateful about where we are in our life, because there's a lot in this world that is not okay and it's not good and that's not of you. So I just pray that we continue our battles and understand and know that you are victorious at the end of each of them. And we give you all honor and praise through everything that Good Medicine Way is doing. So we lift this, give these prayers to you, seal them and bind them in your name, so that the enemy cannot do anything spiritually attacking anyone. So I just pray that in your great name, Creator sets free. Amen.
All right,
Thank
everyone.
you,
Have
guys.
a good evening. Take care now. See you next week.
Good night, all.
Good night. Thanks again.
Love you all.
Great to hear you, Ji-gaabiikwe.
Good night, Lee. Good night, Mom, Dad, Heather, Diane, Alyssa, Kate.